My name is Sophie Chen. I'm 27 years old. 6 weeks ago, I walked into Mason and Collins Fine Jewelry to have my grandmother's engagement ring resized for my upcoming wedding. The ring she'd left me in her will, the one I'd kept in my parents' safe because my apartment had been broken into twice. The jeweler, Mr. David Mason, took one look at it and went pale. "Where did you get this ring?" "My grandmother left it to me. Why?" He pulled out a file from his desk. "Because your parents sold this ring to us 3 months ago for $47,000. They said it belonged to them, and they needed the money for medical expenses." My hands started shaking. "That's impossible. This is my ring. From my safe at their house." Mr. Mason looked at me carefully. "Miss, I'm going to need to call someone. Please don't leave." He stepped into the back room. 5 minutes later, 2 police officers walked in. That's how I learned my parents had taken my grandmother's ring from their safe, forged documentation claiming ownership, sold it to a high-end jeweler for $47,000, and used the money to fund my brother's 3-week vacation to Europe with his girlfriend. And when I'd asked to get the ring from the safe 2 weeks earlier for my engagement, they'd given me a cubic zirconia fake they'd bought online for $200, hoping I'd never know the difference. But what they didn't know was that my grandmother had the ring professionally appraised and registered with the Gemological Institute of America 3 months before she died. Every detail was documented, and Mr. Mason had the records. Before I tell you what happened when the police arrested my parents for theft and fraud, please like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this story. Drop a comment. Where are you watching from and what time is it there? I love connecting with all of you. Now, let me take you back to where this pattern really started. Growing up in San Francisco, I learned early that my grandmother Helen was the only person in my family who loved me without conditions. My family. Dad, a financial consultant who made good money but always claimed we were broke. Mom, who worked in marketing and managed the family finances. My brother Kyle, 2 years younger, charming and completely enabled in every bad decision. And me, the responsible one. The one expected to handle everything myself. Kyle got bailed out. I got lectures about responsibility. My grandmother Helen had emigrated from Taiwan in the 1960s. She'd worked 2 jobs to put herself through nursing school, married my grandfather after saving enough money to feel secure, and she'd always told me, "Women need their own money, their own property. Never depend on anyone completely." She'd given me that advice from the time I was 10 years old. When I was 15, I got my first job at a bookstore. I saved every paycheck. I was so proud when I had $1,000 in my account. Dad saw my bank statement and said, "Good, now you can pay for your own phone and clothes. We spend enough on Kyle's football equipment." That same month, Kyle wanted a new gaming system. $600. My parents bought it for him immediately. I bought my own clothes with my bookstore money. Kyle got an allowance of $100 per week. I told myself it was fine. I was learning financial responsibility. At 18, I got accepted to UC Berkeley with partial scholarship. I'd need $18,000 per year to cover the rest. My parents said they couldn't help. "We're paying for Kyle's SAT prep and application fees. He needs the best chance at getting into a good school. You're already in. You'll figure it out." I worked 2 jobs through college. I graduated with $45,000 in student loans. Kyle got into a decent state school 2 years later. My parents paid for everything: tuition, room, board, spending money. He graduated debt-free. When I pointed out the disparity, Mom said, "Kyle needs more support. You've always been self-sufficient. We help where help is needed." But the person I could always count on was Grandma Helen. She took me to lunch once a month throughout college. She'd slip me $200 in an envelope and say, "For groceries, don't tell your parents." She paid for my textbooks one semester when I was between jobs. She bought me a professional wardrobe when I got my first job interview. "Your parents don't see you. she told me when I was 22. But I do. You're going to be remarkable. When Grandma got sick 2 years ago, I was the one who took her to appointments, managed her medications, stayed overnight when she was scared. Kyle visited twice in 6 months. My parents came weekly, but spent most visits discussing her estate. 3 weeks before she died, Grandma called her attorney to her hospital room. I was there, holding her hand. "I'm updating my will," she said weakly. "Sophie gets the house in Marin County, my investment accounts, and my engagement ring. Everything else can be split among the others." Mom's face went tight. "Mother, that's not fair. The house alone is worth $890,000, Grandma finished. "I know what it's worth. I bought it 40 years ago for $60,000. Sophie has earned it." "By what? Visiting you? That's basic decency." "By showing up. By caring. By being here when everyone else was too busy." Grandma squeezed my hand. "Sophie gets what I've outlined. Kyle gets $50,000. My children get $100,000 each. My choice." The attorney documented everything. Witnesses signed. It was legal and clear. Grandma died a week later. I was holding her hand. At the will reading, my parents were furious. The house, the accounts, the ring, all valued at about $1.2 million total, went to me. They got $100,000 each. Kyle got $50,000. "This is unequal," Dad shouted. "We're her children. Sophie is just a grandchild." The attorney was firm. These were Mrs. Chen's explicit wishes, clearly stated while she was of sound mind. The will is valid. Mom turned to me. "You manipulated her, made her think we didn't care." "I didn't manipulate anyone. I was just there." The inheritance processed over 3 months. The house, the accounts, everything transferred to my name, including the engagement ring, which was appraised at $52,000. A 2.5-carat diamond in a platinum setting from the 1940s, given to Grandma by my grandfather. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. My boyfriend James had just proposed. We'd been together 3 years. The timing felt perfect. Grandma had left me her ring just as I was getting engaged, but my apartment had been broken into twice that year. Someone had stolen my laptop and some jewelry. I didn't feel safe keeping a $52,000 ring there. My parents had a house safe, big, bolted to the floor, seemingly secure. "Can I store some valuable items in your safe?" I asked. "Just until I get better security at my place?" Dad agreed. I put the ring, the original appraisal documents, and some other heirlooms in their safe. They gave me the combination. That was 14 months ago. 2 months ago, James and I set a wedding date. 4 months out. I needed to get the ring resized. Grandma's fingers had been smaller than mine. I called my mom. "I'm coming by Saturday to get Grandma's ring from the safe. I need to take it to the jeweler." There was a pause. "Oh, right. The ring. Sure, come by." Something in her voice felt off, but I dismissed it. Saturday, I went to their house. Mom handed me a small velvet box. I opened it. The ring looked right. Same setting, same style. But something felt different. Lighter, maybe? Less sparkly? "Thanks, Mom." "Of course, honey. Congratulations again on the wedding." I took the ring home. James and I admired it. It looked beautiful. I made an appointment at Mason and Collins Fine Jewelry, a high-end shop that specialized in antique pieces. I chose them specifically because they'd know how to handle a vintage ring properly. The appointment was on a Tuesday morning. I walked in excited, holding my grandmother's ring. Mr. David Mason greeted me personally. "Good morning. How can I help you?" "I need this resized. It's my grandmother's engagement ring from the 1940s. I handed it to him. He looked at it under his loupe. His expression changed immediately. "Miss, where did you get this ring?" "My grandmother left it to me in her will. She died about a year ago. Why? He set the ring down carefully. Because this is cubic zirconia in gold-plated silver. It's worth maybe $200. And 3 months ago, a woman and man claiming to be Helen Chen's children sold me a 2.5-carat diamond platinum ring from the 1940s for $47,000. The room tilted. What? He pulled out a file. Photos. Detailed descriptions. The GIA certificate number. Is this your grandmother's ring? He showed me the photo. It was identical to what I thought I was holding, except the one in his photo was real. Yes, that's her ring. That's supposed to be my ring. The people who sold it to me said it belonged to their mother who'd passed away. They had documents, a will, an appraisal. They said they needed money for medical expenses. What did they look like? He showed me the security camera footage from the sale. My parents. Clear as day. My mother handing over my ring. My father signing paperwork. I started shaking. They stole it. From their own safe where I was storing it. They sold my inheritance and gave me a fake. Mr. Mason's face hardened. That's theft and fraud. I need to call the police. Please do. The police arrived quickly. I showed them the will, the appraisal documents I'd photographed before storing the ring, the GIA certificate, my text messages with my mother from 2 weeks ago asking to get the ring from their safe. Detective Williams took detailed notes. Your parents sold property that belonged to you. That's theft. They also likely forged documents to prove ownership. That's fraud. And they gave you a fake to cover it up. That's deception. Can you get it back? The ring is currently evidence, but yes, it'll be returned to you. Mr. Mason bought it in good faith, but from someone who didn't have the right to sell it. Legally, it's yours. They arrested my parents that afternoon. The charges were serious. Felony theft of property over $20,000. Fraud. Forgery of documents. My mother had apparently created a fake will that showed the ring going to her, not me, and used that to sell it. They posted bail after 2 days in jail. My dad called me immediately. How could you do this to us? We're your parents. You stole from me. You took Grandma's ring and sold it. We needed the money. Kyle wanted to take Vanessa to Europe and we couldn't afford it. You have millions from the house and accounts. You don't need a ring. It wasn't about the money. It was Grandma's ring. The one she wore for 60 years. The one she specifically left to me. We're family. You should share what you have. You didn't share. You stole. Mom got on the line. If you don't drop the charges, we'll fight the entire inheritance. We'll say you manipulated Grandma. We'll drag this through courts for years. Try it. Grandma's will is ironclad. Her attorney will testify she was of sound mind. And now you've added theft and fraud charges to your record. Good luck convincing a judge you deserve anything. I hung up. The preliminary hearing was 3 weeks later. My parents' attorney tried to argue they had a right to the ring as Helen's children, regardless of the will. The prosecutor brought out the GIA certificate, showing the ring registered to Helen Chen, the will clearly stating it went to Sophie Chen, and the fake documents my mother had created claiming the ring was hers. Your clients committed fraud to sell property that legally belonged to the victim, the prosecutor said. There's no ambiguity here. The judge agreed. Trial was set for 2 months out. But something else happened that I didn't expect. Kyle called me. Sophie, I need to talk to you. We met at a coffee shop. He looked terrible, pale, exhausted. I didn't know, he said immediately. About the ring. They told me they'd sold some of Mom's old jewelry to pay for the Europe trip. I didn't know it was Grandma's ring. I didn't know it belonged to you. You didn't question how they suddenly had $47,000? They said it was from their savings. I believed them. He put his head in his hands. Vanessa broke up with me. When she found out the vacation was paid for with stolen money, she left. said she couldn't be with someone from a family of criminals. I didn't feel sorry for him, but I didn't feel victorious either. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm testifying for the prosecution. I'm telling them everything I know, how Mom and Dad always favored me, how they never spent money on you, how they complained constantly about Grandma leaving you the inheritance. I'm done protecting them. What changed? I grew up. He looked at me with something like shame. I'm 25 years old, and I've never paid for anything myself. Every job I've quit, every bill I've ignored, every time I've screwed up, they've fixed it. I thought that was normal. But Vanessa pointed out that they never helped you, that you put yourself through college while they paid for everything for me, that they stole a $52,000 ring from you to send me on vacation. He paused. That's not love. That's creating a dependent. And I'm embarrassed it took this long to see it. The trial was surprisingly quick. The evidence was overwhelming. Security footage of my parents selling the ring, the fake will my mother had created, the cubic zirconia ring they'd given me, my testimony about storing the ring in their safe, Mr. Mason's testimony about the sale. Kyle testified too, about our childhood, the differential treatment, how my parents had complained endlessly about Sophie getting everything from Grandma. They felt entitled to that ring, Kyle said on the stand. They thought because they were Helen's children, they had more right to it than Sophie did, even though the will clearly said otherwise. My parents were convicted on all counts: felony theft, fraud. They were sentenced to 2 years in prison, suspended to 18 months of house arrest, 5 years probation, and ordered to pay me restitution for the ring's appraised value, plus emotional damages. Total, $75,000. They also had to formally relinquish any claim to Grandma's estate. The judge's words at sentencing were scathing. You stole your own daughter's inheritance, an heirloom from her grandmother who clearly loved her and wanted her to have it. You sold it to fund a vacation for your son. Then you attempted to cover it up by giving her a fake. This wasn't a moment of desperation. This was calculated theft from someone who should have been able to trust you. The ring was returned to me 3 days after sentencing. Mr. Mason had kept it in his safe, understanding it would need to be evidence. When I went to pick it up, he handed me the velvet box personally. I'm glad you got it back, he said, and I'm glad I could help. Your grandmother must have been an incredible woman. She was. She also did something very smart, registering the ring with GIA. That's what allowed me to identify it when your parents brought it in. The certificate number matched our records. She always thought ahead. He smiled. Wear it well, and congratulations on your wedding. I got the ring resized. I wore it at my wedding 2 months ago. James's family was there. My friends were there. Kyle came, sober and genuinely happy for me. My parents were not invited. They were under house arrest anyway. Several of my relatives reached out after the trial. Aunts and uncles who'd heard bits and pieces of the story over the years, but never connected the dots. My Aunt Linda, Dad's sister, called me in tears. Sophie, I'm so sorry. I saw how they treated you differently than Kyle, but I told myself it wasn't my place to say anything. I should have said something. It's okay, Aunt Linda. It's not okay. They stole from you, their own daughter. Over and over throughout your life, they chose Kyle over you. Then they literally stole your grandmother's ring. She paused. Your grandmother used to talk to me about it. She said she was leaving you most of her estate because you were the only grandchild who visited her without expecting anything, who loved her for who she was, not for what she could give. I miss her, I whispered. She'd be proud of you, for standing up to them, for not letting them get away with it. That was 6 weeks ago. My parents completed their house arrest last week. They're on probation for 4 more years. They've made 2 payments toward the restitution, $2,500 each. They haven't spoken to me. I haven't tried to reach out. Kyle and I have lunch once a month now. He's in therapy, working on becoming independent. He got a job, his first real one with benefits and responsibilities. He's paying his own rent. It's harder than I thought it would be, he admitted last week. Being an adult. It is. But you're doing it. Because you showed me it was possible. You did it alone from the time you were 18. I'm 25 and just starting. I look at Grandma's ring on my finger every day. It catches the light and reminds me of her strength, her wisdom, her unconditional love. She knew my parents would fight the inheritance. That's why she registered the ring. That's why she documented everything. That's why she used an attorney who understood estate law. Even after death, she was protecting me. Here's what I've learned. Some parents see their children as extensions of their own needs. They take from one child to give to another. They steal, lie, and manipulate because they feel entitled to control what their children have. My parents didn't see my inheritance as mine. They saw it as family money that should be redistributed the way they wanted. They felt entitled to take my ring and sell it because they valued Kyle's vacation more than my grandmother's wishes. They convinced themselves it was justified, that I had enough, that I wouldn't miss it, that their needs, or Kyle's wants, outweighed my rights. But theft is theft, even when committed by parents. Especially when committed by parents, because the betrayal cuts deeper. If you're watching this and you have valuables, heirlooms, jewelry, important documents, stored at a family member's house, please get them somewhere secure. A bank safety deposit box, a professional vault, somewhere people can't access without you present. Don't assume family won't steal. Don't assume parents won't prioritize one child over another. Don't assume your inheritance is safe just because it's in the family. Get things appraised. Get things registered. Document everything. Because if someone does try to steal from you, that documentation will be what gets it back. And if your parents or family members do steal from you, press charges. Don't let guilt or fear of causing trouble stop you from protecting what's yours. You're not breaking up the family. They broke it when they stole from you. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Have you dealt with parents or family members who felt entitled to your belongings or inheritance? How did you protect yourself? What would you tell others in similar situations? Drop your story in the comments. And if this helped you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And remember, just because someone is family doesn't mean they have a right to what's yours. Protect yourself. Document everything. And don't be afraid to involve authorities when theft occurs. I'm Sophie Chen. I'm 27 years old, and I'm wearing my grandmother's ring, the one she left me, the one my parents tried to steal, and the one that came back to me because she'd been smart enough to protect it even after she was gone. Her love still protects me, and that's worth more than any ring could ever be.